Ever catch yourself stressing out about not being further ahead? I know I have. Here's the thing that I've learned that it's totally okay to be right where you are right now. The shift happens when you get really clear on what it is you actually want and then place a committed decision on those next steps so that you can turn those decisions into small actions which compound over time and really give you the breakthrough. It's not about overnight success, at least it hasn't been in my life. Over 34 years as an entrepreneur, 14 years running this agency, helping clients grow. Marketing just doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way. Entrepreneurship doesn't work that way. What it's about is about doing the small things repeatedly over a long period of time so that the work does what the work is supposed to do. And that is where things change. So, what decision are you making right now that could actually change everything? The one that I had to make that changed my life in 2000 is what I'm going to share with you in today's video. No one likes to talk about mindset, but this is really where all of my, I would say, my levels of success have always come from some level of reconditioning my own mindset. And for those that are new here, don't know about the MindShift method, we're going to talk about that for just a minute. And I think it's going to be helpful for each of you because I, like you, run through challenges. I, like you, I have to deal with the fact that Facebook changed something, just like Google changed something, just like our technology changed something. My internet goes out just like everybody else's. Things don't happen the way they're supposed to. I make typos. All of those things happen, right? So when life happens, I've boiled down the way that I navigate. Someone asked me years ago, 2017 or 16-ish, there was something turbulent going on in that moment. And they watched me handle something and they said to me, how is it that you just don't seem to be bothered by this thing? And the reality is I'm not going to get into the thing because it is not about the thing. It's about how I've learned to navigate adversity, turbulence, roadblocks, shifts, unexpected outcomes, right? And we all are going through this. And so if anything you get out of today, as it relates to where we're going in the third quarter, before we can get into the tactics, I just want to share this with you because it's a reminder for me every time I get stuck, and I think it'll be helpful for you. Okay, so let's start with step one. The MindShift method in my world is this idea of making peace with the current facts. And that's a way to look at the current situation and not make it more than it is, but to separate from the current set of facts and the emotion related to the facts. Okay. It's harder to do in reality than it actually says on the screen. Right. But over the years, whenever something's happened, whenever something's got me upside down emotionally because of a fact, for whatever reason, I just realized that I've got to separate the emotion from the actual fact. And that is a methodology that is, look, I'm not here to be a therapist. I'm not here to be your life coach. What I'm saying is that we all have these issues in life. We all have these, both business, financial, lead gen, marketing, relational, all of these things, right? But we've got to figure out how to make peace with our facts. Today, whatever those facts are for you related to what we're talking about today, which is marketing and business growth. Right? We're not here to talk about your relationships. I can't help with that. I'm not, don't have any degrees in that. We're not here to talk about your finances. Don't have degrees in that. We're talking about here marketing and business growth. But today, wherever you sit, I want you to just recognize that wherever you are is wherever you are. Right? Wherever you are is wherever you are. And this is the part that people struggle with. And where you are right now is just fine. Wherever you are is wherever you are, and wherever you are is just fine. So often we're caught up in comparing ourselves to the competitor who's doing better than us, or to this other brand who looks like they're popping off on social media, or to our friends or our colleagues or whoever, and we're comparing where we are to where they are. And one thing that's always served me well is being able to just come back to the point of, is my chapter one, let's just say I'm at chapter one in my journey, my chapter one can't be compared to their chapter 11, right? Their chapter 11 is their journey, right? And so unfortunately, the way social media works and where all the analytics show up and the way people talk off on YouTube is we can really get caught up in thinking that we're less than when we're not, because they just started earlier. They got advice sooner. They got on the journey faster, whatever the case is. So wherever you are is wherever you are, and wherever you are is just fine. But we got to make a decision. We got to make a decision about what it is we actually want and what we want to do in a specific period of time so that we can get clear on where we're going. And that's only up to you. As your coach, as your mentor, as your guide in this program, at our agency, I cannot help a client get clear about the outcome they want unless they're clear about it. It actually has to be more important to you than it is to anyone else who's helping you on the journey, because it has to be your driving direction of that decision about where we're going. So on the back of whatever the current facts are, don't underestimate your ability to decide where you're going from here. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was actually from Tony Robbins. Many of you may know that name, and it wasn't because I talked to Tony Robbins, I'll tell you that. But it was a book that I read, and it was so powerful, this one statement. I think I was in my early 20s, 2022, 23, something in that neighborhood. And it was, it's in the moment of your decisions that your destiny is shaped. It's not a long sentence. It's in your moment of decision that your destiny is shaped. And by the way, that is good and bad. We obviously have made decisions where things didn't go well. We've made decisions where things went extremely well, but it's about making a decision. And probably the biggest point to this is that when we really make a decision, we cut off options that are otherwise available. We cut options off. I believe the root word of decision is decide, which in the Greek, or I'm not going to try to be that person who goes back and figures all that out, but the root word in its original form was the word decidir, I think if you pronounce it right, but it means to cut off. So when we decide we're going here, we have to cut off options over there. I was just asked yesterday by the fine gentleman in the room. He asked me about certain things about time management and productivity, and when you've got 1,000 things going on, how do you manage your energy? And one of the answers I gave him, and I mean this to my core, is that I have no problem saying no to the things that might be something I want to do, but because I've already committed to these things that are at the highest level of my priority. And that's both in personal and business life. Okay. So once we've made a decision, but here's the piece, I guess, that I want to say. Some people think they made a decision, but in fact, they've just made a preference, or they have an interest, but they really haven't cut anything off. Okay. For 3 or 4 years after when COVID started, we had to make some serious decisions at our agency, serious decisions, like life-altering, business-altering decisions. COVID, like everything else, with all of us here in the room, we all went through it in some way, shape, or form. There were just new things that had to happen. And if I really were to be, I'm gonna be transparent with you. There was a time in that early window of COVID where it was looking like we might not make it. We were burning cash so fast because we had no idea where things were going. And we couldn't just let our team go because we knew this thing was temporary, but we just didn't understand what it was temporary for. But that's so you get in this place where life hits you, you got to make decisions. Now, our decision was not to lay anybody off, was to work through the furloughing and all of those other types of things because we knew it was temporary. But then you got to come up with a plan, right? So once you've decided, okay, we're going to do this thing or that thing, we're not going to do this thing, is coming up with a plan. And this is where it gets really hard. And over my journey, I have valued and had a coach or a mentor or advisor or multiple in my life since I was in my 20s. I've never gotten through anything without a plan. And here's the funny thing. I didn't always know what the plan was going to be, but I was quick to find where I could find the resource, whether it was free or paid. And I think too many people run to paid free resources thinking that's going to be your way out. And I've been happy to pay my coaches and mentors still to this day. I have 2 to this day. So while I get to be your lead, your guide, the person you're following through this part of your marketing journey, I have 2 outside of my life. One that meets with me, keeps my business in check, keeps my finances in check, holds me accountable for the decisions I make, holds me to my P&L. And I've also got one that helps me with the growth of marketing and the mindset space. And he's just amazing. So I have a plan, but I don't always know what the plan is. I have to look for sometimes third-party resources. And then lastly, but not least, and I am spending a lot of time here because it doesn't matter what the tactics are if we don't get our mindset together. And the last part is being able to take the necessary action to make it happen And here's what I've seen in my own behavior. Here's what I've seen in companies. Here's what I've seen in CEOs, business owners, and really anybody in life. And that is not being willing to do the work long enough for the work to do what the work does. And what does that mean? Well, that means being committed to the daily discipline of the actions that will produce the result long enough for the result to actually manifest in due time. And people get all jammed up. Well, I need to do this by this day or it failed. Wrong attitude. I need to do this with this dollar by this time period, and what's worse is they'll say that they're a failure. And that's the worst mindset. And I can't help people with that when they think they're the failure. What we talk about here is desired outcomes. An outcome is simply a thing, and it's not your identity, right? Failure or success is not an identity. It's an outcome of doing a thing and looking at whether it was what you desired or what it wasn't. And when it comes to the desired outcome, so often you can look at it in other areas of life, but sometimes when you're doing things, in this case with marketing, you can think, well, I've been doing it for a week and I'm not seeing the result. Or I've been doing it for a month and I'm not seeing the result. I've been doing it for a year and I'm not seeing the result. And you think for some reason that time period, which was arbitrary, decides whether it was a success or failure. And so this idea of doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it until is the attitude we must have, or we won't make it. Hey, thanks for spending some time with us today. I hope it won't be your last time here. We should have a video popping up that might be helpful for you to watch next. And please know that the comment section is always open so we can answer your frequently asked questions. Be sure to pop those down below and I'll see you next time. Take care.